thank you again for taking the time out to share with the Swib Tribe all your amazing tips and tricks and expertise.
Do you know, it's an absolute pleasure. For those of you who weren't at conference, prior to conference, Jill and I had never met. Somebody had tagged on a LinkedIn post and it just sort of came from there. And of all the people that I've met in the last year, Jill has got to be in my top list. I adore her. I feel like it's a long lost sister. So when she asked me to take part today, I was only too happy to help. So fingers crossed, we will be able to get some amazing tips that you can use straight away. So again, I think this one was really important. I can't remember who said it. I think it was how to sell without being salesy. So you'll see at the top of this slide, I genuinely believe when it's delivered correctly that sales and customer service is exactly the same thing. So if it feels like you're selling, you're not doing it right, because literally it should just be a complete customer service journey. So thank you to Jennifer. Jennifer, literally, we started to work together, I don't even know, maybe 4 years ago. So Jennifer has read the book, had coaching sessions, and been on one of my live courses. So she should know this like the back of her hand. So my background originally was hospitality. So I worked in Sydney for Radisson. I worked for Southern Suns in Cape Town. I worked for Seymour Hotels in Jersey. So I never really anticipated that I would ever leave the hospitality industry. But when I came back to the UK after traveling for 6 years, I met my husband, and he had a Monday to 9 to 5 job. And the shifts weren't working. You know, it was like, I think I was on the verge of getting dumped, and I quite liked this one. I thought he was a keeper. So I had to try and get a job that was Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And I'd always thought that sales was quite difficult, and, you know, it wasn't really anything I felt a calling for. But I applied for a job for the first call centre that BT opened in Motherwell, and it was an outbound business to business call centre. And they gave me the training that really, I think, grounded everything I do in my life. And when they launched the call centre, like, I was the first one to make a sale. I won the prizes, I won the trips. And I think that was because I still held on to the hospitality values and customer service values. So that's why I'm so passionate about that. So I then worked for Dow Egberts, the coffee company, and I worked for Yale for 15 years. I know that might sound like Yale, the key people. It's like Yale, like Yellow Pages. I've got a dodgy Scottish accent for those of you that need subtitles. So what happened, and I think this is a really important part, that you've got to believe 100% in what you're selling, because without that belief in your product or service, you're going to struggle. And part of the reason, after 15 years with the company, they were going in a different direction. They were going at a different pace to me. I was really keen to move into more digital, and they were still being drawn back into paper. And we were just, the values of the direction we wanted were different. So I had no idea what I was going to do. I mean, literally no idea. And I think we've all got one of these people, a Lorraine, I call them. So Lorraine's my friend from Scotland that I went to school with, and I phoned her, you know, as you do, you phone a friend when you're at a crossroads. And she said, you're going to set up a sales training company to teach people to sell the way that you sell. And I went, I so am. So that seemed like a great idea. Again, all of you who have started businesses going, right, that's it, I'm going to start a business. But the difficult thing that I had, although I was really good at sales, I won the prizes, I won the trips, I made the big money, a lot of it was in my head. So how do you teach something that's encapsulated and ingrained into how you do things? So I had to come up with the methodology so that I could teach other people. So this is what I teach, and this is what the book and everything I do revolves around. So ultimately, behaviors. People buy people, and they buy people like them. You know, I'm sure that if I asked you to put up your hands, then you would come up with examples of at times that you didn't, you know, bond with a customer, you didn't get them. And again, you know, why does it feel like you're being a pest? Why can you not get them to buy whatever it is that you're selling? That comes down to the behaviors. The next thing
is
we moved into process. Now, oh, there's so many bits. I get so passionate because I absolutely adore sales, but the sales process, and that means what you say, when you say it, how you say it. It's like a magical dance. I cannot explain how the magical dance flows and how the love of sales really works. And it's interesting because if I say to somebody, if you watch Swan Lake, the beautiful ballet at Covent Garden or at Sydney Opera House, would the steps to the dance be the same? Yes, they would. And that's why if I go out with customers, I'll go out on field account with some of the salespeople. I know the next word that's going to come out their mouth. And that's what happens when you know process like the back of your hand. When you don't know process, it becomes disjointed and it doesn't flow like the magical dance. So that's one of the things I definitely, I'll cover it today to an extent, but I'm trying to get out 30 odd years of sales into 45 minutes. The next thing is strategy. And I get asked all the time, is sales, is cold calling dead or alive? And I'm forever getting roped into debates on LinkedIn about whether it's dead or alive. Well, I don't think that we have to cold call. I think that with LinkedIn, I mean, Jennifer's obviously the expert in the room on this one, but LinkedIn is the golden keys. You've got everything you need in there for a business to business sale. Again, I'm going to cover the difference between sales and marketing because I think that's another thing that people get confused about, but definitely strategy, how to network, how to be dealing with the clients that you want, how to be proactive. And I think the word is proactive, but from a customer service centric position, not a pushy sales. And it's that fear of sales that sometimes stops people from being proactive. But when I was doing my research, the last thing that I came up with is confidence. And especially in women, in women in sales and women in business sometimes really struggle with their confidence. But this is why I wrote the book, because actually the reason they struggle with confidence is they don't know the behaviors. They don't know the magical dance that is sales process, and they don't have a strategy. And what happens is they're fumbling around in the dark and they don't know what they're doing, and that then affects their confidence. So it's the other three pillars that actually add up to the fourth pillar. So I mentioned sales and marketing being like golf. Now, literally, it's hilarious because people that have heard me speak before, or people that have been on the webinars or on the courses, they can quote me back my sayings. And I think that's when you know your brand works, when somebody quotes you back word for word stuff that you've written. But if I do a live course, I say, put your hand up if you know the difference between sales and marketing. And I can do that. I speak at the business show in London, or sometimes I sponsor it, and I can have a stage of like 400 people. And I can count in a couple of hands the number of people that really truly know the difference between sales and marketing. And it's interesting because a lot of you are, again, I hate the word B2B, B2C, but it is business to consumer. So again, Tracy is a hypnotherapist and mindset coach. So that's obviously applicable for business, but also you can use that in your personal life. So to me, that's like a hybrid of B2B, B2C. And people, again, don't like that phrase at the moment. They're going, it's all B to human. Well, it is and it isn't, because I think this is where we are human, unless you're dealing with the aliens, of course. But this is where the sales and marketing is different. So let me explain what I mean by that. So if we look at golf, again, Jill is a keen golfer. So I used to play for the West of Scotland when I was young. So I feel I've got some sort of authority in talking about golf. But for those of you who don't know, when you play golf, what happens is you put the tee in the ground and you put the ball in the tee, right? So it kind of sets it up for the hole. And if you look at things like your website, your social media, your YouTube channel, like your emails, your mail shots, all of those are marketing, right? That's all marketing. None of those are sales. But what happens is us in sales, the golden children, we take it down the fairway, we put it on the green and put the ball in the hole. So if you imagine from your business perspective, only when the ball goes in the hole do you make any money, right? And you can spend a load of time faffing around on your social, on your mail shots, but the ball does not go in the hole. It's when us, the human, this bit really comes into play, that especially in a business to business perspective, that's what starts to make the sales. Now, sometimes, again, I don't know if there's anybody in marketing in the room, but sometimes you get the marketing person in the room and they'll put up their hand and go, that's a load of rubbish, that's a load of tosh. Okay, what's your opinion? Well, us in marketing, we take the ball, we put it on the tee and we put it right down to the edge of the pin, and you sales guys tap it in and take all the glory. And if your marketing is good, that's where, again, if you've got good marketing, you start then to get more inbound inquiries. And if you've got more inbound inquiries, again, organically or through your paid search or whatever it is, then it makes a huge difference because they know your brand. And there's a lot of talk about the like, know, and trust. So again, if you've got good marketing, it works. And, the other thing you have got are things like eBay and Amazon. If you look at those are not actually sales at all. They're just a hole-in-one for marketing. And I think that's where, again, it's quite interesting. A lot of people think that's the eureka, and the ultimate is to get the hole-in-one. And it's really interesting because I'm going to talk about this, and it is quite controversial because I feel that I'm always a salmon. I like to swim against the tide. And I'm sure that a lot of you in this space will be in the, you'll see it on your Facebook feeds, you'll see it on your advertising that comes through, and it's a lot to do with the passive income. Would you too like to earn 6 or 7 figures? Would you, make £20,000 from your launch, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of that to me is quite a pyramid of the same thing. People want the hole-in-one in marketing, right? They want that. They want the passive income. They want that. And some people do get that, but most people who get that by spinning the pyramid even further and telling you how to make it. So that's where, again, I believe that sales really is important when it comes to closing that, because we all want the eureka, we all want the holy grail. But if you're actually doing something that's not teaching people how to make that money from a £10,000 investment, then it's slightly harder. So hopefully that makes sense. And I feel that the reason I talk about that is I feel that a lot of the people that get really sucked into that are women. A lot of people prey on the positioning of how they speak and what they say, and they do it to women, especially vulnerable women that have been made redundant, widowed, divorced, and they invest their cash in this to make this money. So, sales does work, but that kind of stuff isn't sales, it's marketing. And if that's what you want, that's not what I teach. Because if you find that secret without having to spin the pyramid, can you teach me? That would be great. So that's the difference between sales and marketing. So let's go into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty and things that you can use straight away. So we talk about the first pillar is behaviors. So I'm going to get you, I can see the chat. I know there's some comments. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your lovely comments in there. Has anybody done anything around DISC, Myers-Briggs, or Belbin? Can you give me a yes or no in the chat? Just give me a quick yes or no. Yes or no? DISC.
We've got a trainer here as well in DISC.
Oh, good. Excellent. Who's that?
Joe, are you there?
Joe. Hi, Joe. Joe's DISC. That's brilliant. Good. Oh, Insight. Joe, you were on my course. You do customer service and you work with Mel in Cardiff as well.
That's right. Yes.
Hello, Joe.
Hello.
So again, it's really interesting. So a lot of you are saying yes, a lot are saying no. I'm going to do a recap, but I think it's really important that a lot of people, even though they use DISC or have been taught DISC at work, don't use it in a sales perspective. So even if you know this stuff, I think it's really good to step back and examine how you can use it for sales. So if we look, I believe it all comes to this cross, and not just in sales, but in all relationships. I live and breathe and swear by this cross. So some people are task focused, other people are relationship focused, some people are extrovert, and other people are introvert. So again, you know, I'm sure everybody who is in the room at the moment has met somebody that they just don't gel with. They just, you know, my granny would say they get on my goat, but you just, you know, you're just not building it with them. But the secret of the top performers, because they could adapt, they could sell to more people. And I think that's really important, because you can choose not to work with some people, maybe because their values aren't aligned to yours, and that's fair enough. But when it comes to behaviors, by choosing not to work with them, you eliminate part of the market. And that's why it's important. So to wrap it all into one little understanding for those of you who don't know, what I'm going to do is I'm hypothetically going to take you back to school, right? Don't worry, Jill, we're not going, it's okay. And I'm hypothetically going to give you an English test, which will last for 30 minutes, right? So we're not going, but I want you to imagine, you know, you're in the class. Oh, I can smell the fusty tables now when I close my eyes. It's amazing what happens when you close your eyes. But, you know, you think about the buzz and the test papers coming down, and what will happen in the room, you will have a red. That's a task-focused extrovert. And after 20 minutes, they'll put up their hand. Miss, I'm finished. Check me out. I'm a winner. Look at me. I'm bored. What do you want me to do now? But when the test paper result comes back, oh, I didn't realize there was another side to that paper. Because for the task-focused extrovert, it wasn't about perfection. It was just about getting it done. And I think when it comes to sales, this is where, again, when you look at the people you're selling to, these are the ones that they'll like, just cut to the chase, just give me the price, just tell me how much it costs. But they haven't got all the detail. And sometimes, again, they might buy your product or service, and then they'll go, oh, but you never told me that it did that. And in your head, you're going, I so did, you just weren't listening because you were busy, like faffing around on your phone, or you were. So again, it's really important that you understand the behaviors, and we're not just one behavior, we're a blend of them all, but usually we blend on an axis. So we, you know, again, we've only got 45 minutes. I could talk about this all day. But then if we take you back to the classroom, we've got the yellows. So those are the relationship focused extroverts. So after 10 minutes, the yellow, the relationship focused extrovert, will get distracted. Oh, Jennifer, have you seen Emma Jones? Oh, I love Emma Jones. Oh, she's brilliant, isn't she? Alison McCall, can you get back on with the test? Test? I forgot there was a test. So from a sales perspective, these are the ones, because they're extrovert, will make a big impact on you. But if you try and follow up, they might not remember who you are. Oh yeah, oh, I met the conference. Oh yeah, I remember the conference. Oh yeah. They don't remember. So again, just be careful, because from a sales perspective, they're also a wee bit like Dory the fish. They get really distracted. So again, coming back to, I can't remember whose point it was, how you follow up, when you follow up, and how often you follow up is actually based on the behaviors. Because some people, you can be a pest if it's a red and they've already told you no, but if it's a yellow, you have to follow up more because they forgot, I was meant to have a look at that and I forgot, I was really busy. So that's our extroverts. So again, there's loads of details on that in the book as well. So how you identify them at networking and how you sell to them. The next one, we move across to the introverts. So already my tone and my pace and my gesturing, just a little bit slower, because the introverts do this amazing thing that they actually engage their brain before they speak. Sometimes the extroverts forget that little step. So if we move across, we've got our greens. So the greens are the relationship focused introverts. And what will happen is after 10 minutes, again, the test has just started, they will notice that Joe's got a headache. Miss, my friend Joe's got a headache. I think I should take her to the nurse. So what will happen is the headache was more important than the test. So the greens are really caring, genuinely caring about other people and what other people think. So again, if you look at that from a sales perspective, a green will not make a decision there and then. And if you try and push for a decision, they'll just ghost you because they don't like conflict and they don't like to tell you no. They don't like that, the conflict, and it just, so again, they'll have to think about it. But if you keep phoning them, then they'll just see your number and they'll just avoid you because they don't want to tell you no, because they don't want to hurt your feelings. Then we move across to our last color, and again, we're still in the introvert. So my pace and my tone is still a little bit slower because introverts, again, they engage their brain before they think. So if we come back to the test, it lasts for 30 minutes, right up to the last second. They're checking their work, double checking their work. Did I dot my I? Did I cross my T? Because they strive for perfection. They strive for the A star. But what they don't need to do is they don't need to prove to other people. They don't have to run around the room with the test paper because they're striving for it for themselves. So from a sales perspective, these are the people that really need, these are the ones that read the T's and C's. These are the ones that need all the details, you know, they don't just need the big picture. So coming back to what somebody was saying about the proposals, remember, if you know the behaviours, we run two different types of proposals. We run a proposal, which is a blue proposal, which is like so detail orientated. And then we run a yellow proposal, which is like a media pack with a lot of photos and things. It was like, I'm red, 3 times red. So that means she's like double the red. But it's really quite interesting. And I think, you know, without getting into too much detail, that's where the blends come into play. So if you have a look, you know, I mentioned who's ever met somebody they don't get on with particularly well. Usually it's your diagonal opposite. So if you're a red, it's the greens that take all that time, and it just, oh, it's the carey shady, and oh, they drive you mad because their pace is so slow. JJ, you are for sure a yellow. But then if you look at the yellows, you know, they're leading the Disney parade. It's the dull, boring blues that need all the details, that really, again, it's that cross. And if you're down here in carey shady Greenland and you just want things to be harmonious and you want everybody to get on, it's those pushy people that keep pushing you for an answer. And then if you're up here in blue and you need all the detail and, you know, you need time to think about things, it's those annoying yellows that never shut up, that you don't build the relationship with. So, and it's interesting because you can see this is where the blends come into play. You know, my sort of nightmare is, again, I'm an orange, so I'm high red, high yellow. So my nemesis is, again, over here on the introvert, especially the blue side. So, but my husband, he's a purple. So I blend with quite a lot of friends because we meet on red, but completely disagree on the yellow blue. So when you start to analyze it, you can see how that works. Jill's a red. I never read the whole question. Yes, you're definitely a red, Jill. So Jennifer says, I find it really hard to work with a blue and generally don't get on with them. My best clients are red, book in straight away. So again, you know, bringing that in, it's really interesting because how people make a pace of a decision to buy. Again, coming back to the touch points, if you know the behaviours, you really know how to pace your follow-ups. Joe says, my best friend is a green, we complement each other. Yeah, I think, you know, it's interesting because if I'm doing training and it's a lot of greens, I really need a day to recharge because I've had to go so slow. So it's to me, it's the core of absolutely everything that we do. And that's why, you know, everything I teach is based on the top performers. This is where they are genius. You would never know their colour because they're so good at adapting to every single colour. And I think that's one of the big secrets to sales. So hopefully that helps. But my motto for this, I've got a motto for it. I've got an Alison Edgar for everything, really. So most people were brought up to treat other people how you want to be treated. That's like everybody, treat other people. Well, don't treat them how they want. Treat them how they want to be treated. That's how you sell. Treat them how they want to be treated. So hopefully that makes sense. Is there any questions? Because I can do any questions on this section before we move on to process. Any questions? No, I'll take that as a no. I'm going to move on. In the meantime, actually, these are quite old, but in fact, these are the old logos. But if anybody wants to follow me on social, I'm at the Alison Edgar. Tracy says, now it makes sense why I don't get on with my ex-husband. I'm a yellow, love all the psychology of it. You know, so let me tell you a wee secret. The new book is called The Art of Getting What You Want. In fact, it might even be called Unstoppable, The Art of Getting What You Want. We don't know at the moment. But with the book, the reason I'm dyslexic, so I left school at 16. It's been a really tricky journey with writing. Is so many people have used Secrets of Successful Sales in their personal lives that I've had to write a whole new book, so that, again, if you weren't in business or sales, you'd never pick up Secrets of Successful Sales, but especially at the moment, you would pick up Unstoppable, The Art of Getting What You Want. So hopefully that helps. Linda says, I have a phrase I use with all tech clients doing change. It's not about you. I talk about the Titanic. So yeah, it's not all about you. Right. So let's look at this magical process. And actually it feeds into exactly what Linda has just said. So we talk about the win-troduction as part of the strategy. So if you are reaching out to someone, and again, this is what we would use in the cold, I say cold or warm strategy. So somebody that you don't know, but you want to have a conversation with. So most people, and even in networking, hello, it's me, who you are, you know, where you come from, not Clyde Bank. I mean, what your company is, what it's about. You know, I teach sales, but all that's about you. So people don't engage, and it's a bit like the Titanic. If touchwood, we're not on the Titanic, but if you were hypothetically on the Titanic on your own, no family, no friends, and it was going down, who's the first person you want to save? I think deep down we want to save ourselves, because we want to get back to our family and friends. And I think that's where everything that you do should be what's in it for them. So I think looking at how you pitch, and most people stop at the first three. So again, I'll give you an example so that you can see the formula for it. I'm sure you can access it, because you can access it in the app. But hi, I'm Alison Edgar. I'm the Managing Director of Sales Coaching Solutions, the Entrepreneur's Godmother, and Alison Edgar. And what I do is I teach people how to sell their fantastic products and services. And what that means is they can actually make money and grow their business. So the bit that you would have heard is make money and grow your business. And again, that feeds into most things. So the other thing, now somebody else was talking about the proposal-y things. That is a marketing function, not a sales function. But when you are doing any written marketing things, flip it on its head. So start off with the what's in it for them. So again, according to Forbes magazine, 90% of startup businesses fail. Not on my watch. I'm Alison Edgar, blah, 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 blah. So again, you know, you're leading in with a strong statement that you're there to solve that. And if you're doing a stand-up pitch, you know, if you have to pitch for investment competitions, whatever it is, make sure you lead in with a strong what's in it for them. I call it the upside down 4W. So hopefully that helps. Again, it takes a wee while. Jennifer was on a course in London, and it takes bloody ages, doesn't it, to get that done? It's a tweak it and try it, tweak it and try it, because it's got to sound really natural. So again, you can see with mine, it's never the same twice, but the formula is the same. So hopefully that helps. Now I'm going to cover off at the end around the process, but I tell you what, this is it. This is the main thing. This is the golden key for absolutely everything, is the questioning techniques. And what we do is we talk about, you know, again, if I'm doing this live, I'll go, who in the room's got children? Some people, on the other hand, who in the room's ever been a child? Ha ha ha, 100% of hands. Whoa. But it's all about how we develop as young children, you know, our cognitive behavior and how we think. Like, if you've got a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, what they do is they will talk about open questions. They will ask you why. You know, children are programmed to ask why. They're not taught by their parents to go why. They want to learn. And again, I kind of blame education. I'm apologising to anybody that's ex-education, but managing a room of 30 children and them all going why, what, when, where, how, why, what, when, where, how, why, what, it's just hard work. So we're taught to be polite. Can I? Will I? Would you like me to? Please, may I? And that's your worst enemy for sales. Would you like me to send an email to nevergonnahappen.com? You know, and like your homework, you've all got homework, right? Every single one of you in this room, at the end of this session, I want you to go back and look at your emails to customers. Let me know if you've got any thoughts on this. Let me know if you need any more information. Stop it! Finish everything with an open question. How would you like to move forward with this? When are you available for a call to discuss this? How, what, why, where, when, how? Because if you've got some sort of action point at the end, you've got something to follow up on. Let me know your thoughts on this. Nah, too weak. Get in there with your open questions. Linda says, yep, it's what I say, start of a presentation with stuff about me, as people are really interested until later on. Interesting. So I haven't really talked about me. I start off, then I come back under strategy and tell you more of the story. So it is because people really just want to know what's in it for them. So the open questions, here we go. Let me just bring this whole slide up. There's 2 types. There's 4 types: open, leading, rhetorical, and closed. The ones that most people use are closed. And this is where people, I think my honest belief is this is what gives people the fear of sales, because they're scared of rejection and they're scared of the no. But part of the reason they get the rejection and the no is they ask closed questions. You know, would you like me to, you know, would you like to do that? Well, let me think about it. Oh my God, where'd you go with that one? Right, okay, so just out of interest, for my clarity and sanity, from what I've covered, if 1 meant that it's never going to happen, 5 means that you're really keen to go ahead with this now, where are you on a scale of 1 to 5? Again, I wouldn't lead in with that too soon, but it's a great test intention. So to the lady that was asking about the follow-ups, how do you follow up? When do you follow up? That's testing intention. Kenny Rogers, right? I'll give you Kenny Rogers now. I can't remember who that was for, but sometimes it's just Kenny Rogers, the gambler. You know, you're never going to sell to everyone, because if I can't sell to everyone, I can't teach you to sell to everyone. But you got to know when to hold in, know when to fold in, know when to walk away, and know when to run. It's like a relationship. It's the same thing. And you know, sometimes the timing isn't right, especially, you know, at the moment, people might want to work with you, but they might not have the funds to work with you, if that makes sense. So it's about, you know, if they say, well, I'm really keen on what you do, but, and again, sometimes the funds isn't the right, you know, people will use that as an excuse. So it's your job as the detective in sales to be asking the right questions. Is that true or is that false? And it's interesting, I was talking to somebody that had been going down, they had invested in the, you too can make £1 million in 5 minutes. And they just ended up putting a shed load of money on their credit cards that they're never going to see a return on. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where it depends on your values. For me, like, we do our coaching programs, and Jennifer knows this, that we do it as a monthly, you know, monthly kind of model, that we do a one-off payment or a monthly model. But I would never go and say to somebody, yeah, just put it on a credit card, and you wouldn't, you know. So again, I think it's dependent on your position and how you do that when it comes to whether people have got money or not. If you know they're really going to get a return on investment and it's a short-term fix for them to put it on a card, then that would be fair enough. But if you know, and I'll give you an example, I'll give you a first-hand example. You can tell I'm like ranting on about this. It's just because it's so prevalent at the moment that people are getting poached on. As part of the research for the brand, the Alison Edgar brand, we went on one of these courses. I ended up going to Portugal, right, just to get the experience of the whole thing. And it was the run to the back, run to the back, and it's all positioned, you've got Bon Jovi, it's my life, it's now. And you're like, oh, it's my life, damn tootin' John Bon Jovi, I'm going down there, I've got my credit card, I'm running to the back. And the thing was, it was $3,000 to go. We went to Portugal for 2 days or something, $3,000. And the first 8 that ran to the back got a personal call with this expert that can teach you to make a fortune, whatever it was. And I'm on the call, and of course I'm a red, I'm right in there, I got my questions in first, and I thought, I'll listen to what other people, and this woman said, I really need your help, I'm £300,000 in debt. And I just kept on listening, I'm thinking, I wonder what she's going to say to that, and she's going, oh, that's fine, we'll cover it off in the course in Portugal. And that woman was in Portugal, and I thought, how on earth could anybody take that money off that woman? You would take a one-to-one, you would give her her money back, and you would say, here's the debt counselling helpline, and I think you should, get some help for this. But it's really odd, and again, I feel I'm harping on, but again, please just don't get sucked into that, because it's not sales, it's manipulation. Liz says, I always send an email with, I look forward to hearing from you, something I need to change. Liz, definitely finish what do you see, what's your time frame on this, what's your next step, what do you see as the next steps on this, blah 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 blah. Always end in a question, because it prompts an answer. Right, so back to my open questions. See, I digress. They are our girls. Oh, girls, look at that. There's no boys in the room today. Girls. Who, what, why, where, when, how. Who, what, why, where, when, how. Think like a 3-year-old. And usually at this stage of the game, I play a game. Like I play the Guess Who game. And I'll have like a famous person. And in fact, we could do it. Let's just do it. Jill, how are we doing for time?
We've got 20 minutes.
Yeah, where's all that time gone? I don't know where that time is.
It's you talking, Alison.
I know. So, right. Okay. Do it in the... Actually, can they unmute? Right. I think we'll do the unmuting. So I have got a famous person in my head, right? And what I want you to do is ask an open question. You can unmute. Hopefully not everybody does it at the same time. Ask me an open question to determine who my person actually is. When you know who it is, you can ask me a closed question to confirm. Everybody understand the rules?
I assume we can't say who is the famous person.
No, that's cheating, Jill. And that's a true red response to that question.
There you go. What does the person do for a living?
They are in sport.
They're male or female?
That is an alternative question. If you ask it as an open question, I will answer it.
Are they female?
What sex are they?
Good. Male.
What sport is it, Alison?
Football.
What team do they play for, Alison?
They have retired.
What is their name, Alison?
Yeah, see, there's another red question in there. Cheetah.
How long ago did they retire?
About 5-6 years ago, maybe a wee bit longer, Joe.
What county were they from?
Or better still, what team?
Quite near London.
What team did they play for?
Yeah, that's what I thought, Jennifer. Oh.
They played for Manchester United.
Yeah, it's Alex Ferguson, isn't it?
Well, no, he's the manager, Jennifer.
Oh, sorry.
But Jennifer, I loved you before. I love you even more now, because it's like I could have planted this.
Is it David Beckham?
David Beckham. Assume we know what somebody wants without asking enough questions.
Is it David Beckham?
Hang on, Joe, did you ask a question?
What country do they live in now?
They live in the UK.
Is he married to a famous pop star stroke model type thing who doesn't smile much?
Who said that? I can't see the
Jackie.
Okay, so that was a closed question.
Okay.
Yeah. But the answer is David Beckham, so I don't want to spend any more time on it. But
Yes.
the point of that exercise, it's really easy to ask, are you, do you, can you, will you? It's really hard to retrain your brain, who, what, why, where, when, how, who, what, why, where, when, how. But it's literally, girls, if you take nothing else away from today, this is the gold dust to sales, because what happens is when you ask good open questions, the other person talks. And when the other person talks, you get information. And when you get information, it's like snap, you've got the power, because you can't close a sale without knowing what the customer needs. Not what the customer wants, what the customer needs. That's your job to determine it. Emma says, best, but that stops the conversation. That's it. It's all about open questions.
Alison, can I just, a question that Tracy came in, because that might help for a number of the people here.
Yeah.
She's a hypnotherapist and a mindset coach. Hold on,
Yeah.
I'm just going to let somebody in. And she says she finds it hard to sell herself to clients that are already emotionally vulnerable without feeling as if she's taking advantage or feeling guilty about her rates. And I can see that point really when...
I think it's quite interesting. I would say, again, I don't know, but the way that question's phrased, I would say that potentially Tracy might be agreeing. So again, relationship focused. So she really wants to help people, but she feels guilty about the charging because she's not task focused. Again, Tracy, I don't know, that could be wrong, but I think there might be a bit of green in there, which will be holding you back from that. But ultimately, this is where I genuinely believe that the customer service comes in, because so many people are out there are really struggling with their mindset. They're really struggling with their confidence, and it's getting worse, and it will get worse, especially over the next 6 months. So I think it's your duty as somebody who really cares to reach out to them and not listen to them. Again, you've got to be careful, especially if people are vulnerable at that, because you can give away a lot of your time and not make any money from it. Yeah. And I don't mean make money from it as in manipulate them or, you know, get rich quicker. I mean, you've got to put food on your own table. So you've got to be able to, you know, bring the conversation back to a sales conversation. So, you know, if that was me, you know, how do you feel that your mindset is affecting your day-to-day life, and what's the knock-on effect of that? And what have you tried before to try and overcome this, and how has that helped? And what was the knock-on effect of that? And just, you know, I really, really want to help you, but from a business perspective, you know, how likely are you to invest in this? You know, and again, really, that, again, I'm banging out questions one after the other. You're not going to do that within the first 30 seconds. But when you do your consultation, did somebody write in about consultations? It's the same thing. You've got to be careful that you don't give away all your big tricks that you can't charge for, because ultimately you're running a business, not a charity. Does that make sense? Joe says, if someone has come to you, they're in the space where they need your services, definitely. Tracy, you know, literally, please, if you hold the, I know that you're caring, I know, because what you do, but you need to focus on the task that, and I think the other thing which is really interesting is when you give stuff away for free, people don't value it. So one of the things that I did when everybody was doing free webinars, free this, free that, free the next thing, I put a cost of £10 a ticket for some of the webinars, £20 a ticket. And we sold 50 tickets at 20 quid, or, you know, 50 tickets at a tenner. Do you know what I mean? I've got salary costs, so I've got wages to pay. I chose not to furlough my staff because I didn't think that would help their mental health. I didn't think it would help my business. So I chose to continue to pay them. So I had to bring revenue in. And I think that that's where, you know, just be careful that you're not getting sucked in. You know, it's okay to do things for free. Like today, I'm giving my time to Jill because she's my long lost sister and I'm really happy to help. But ultimately, if you're running a business, you just got to watch that you're not just doing stuff for free, and it's easy to get sucked in.
Yeah, I think that's it's a really valid point, because, you know, especially in Tracy's industry and many others, you know, people have a real need and you want to support that, but it is
oh, completely. But that's the thing.
Slope.
Like if you look at, again, the CBT method, you know, like if you're getting them to do the feelings, the thoughts and the behaviors, they're more likely to do that if they invest in doing that. If you just give them that, then they'll go, that's really good, I must do that mañana, I'll do it tomorrow. Whereas if they've actually seen the value in investing, you're doing them a favor by taking, you know, charging them, because that will be their trigger point to make the changes that they really need in their life. So I think, again, believe in that passion, really, You know, that's why you have to charge them, because if you give it away for free, they ain't going to do nothing, and you're not helping them. You know, you're putting the band-aid on the broken leg kind of thing, rather than fixing the cause. See, I'm passionate about sales in there, can you tell?
Jennifer's made a good point, though. She's talked in the chat about sending a questionnaire and asking when they want to see results. And if there's no urgency, she says she knows she's wasting her time and they're not going to take action.
Yeah, again, but you see that Jennifer was well trained there, weren't you, Jennifer? You see that when open questions, how, who, what, why, where, when, how, you just have to frame them. But I can't, girls, I just honestly can't stress that enough.
Alison, we've got 10 more minutes. Have you got some more slides you want to do before we open?
Yeah, I'm going to skip this. I'm going to do this, and 3 more. And then we'll do questions, right?
Yeah.
So the sales process looks like this, right? It's literally the magical dance follows this shape. It's like the steps to the sale. If you follow them, you will sell to more people. But the lady who said about not want to be salesy, I'm going to tell you a huge secret, right? Promise me, hand on heart, ladies, you're not going to tell anybody else, especially the councils, right? Because the councils get me to do some of the customer service training. Sorry, Joe, it won't be anywhere near as good as yours, I promise. But this is what I deliver. I deliver exactly the same slide pack with 2 different things: introduction and resolve the issue, because it's more customer servicey, complainty things. So you can see, for me, the slide packs are the same. So it is like the Spice Girls. When it's delivered correctly, 2 become 1. Sales and customer service is exactly the same thing. And hopefully, again, Tracy, with yours, that's why you need to reach out to them, because it's a brilliant customer service. Right, strategy, I'm going to go really quickly. You need to have a goal. You need to have a plan. You need to know where you want to go. So again, you know, it's interesting looking at Jennifer, because Jennifer literally worked with me early doors, and she has been my little mirror. So every time I take a step, Jennifer jumps behind it. Every time I take another one, Jennifer jumps behind it, in a really introvert way as well, because Jennifer isn't an extrovert like me, but she just literally just takes every step that I teach, and she follows it. So I'm so proud of her. But you need to have a goal and believe. You know, I left school at 16, never worked in sales in my life, never really wanted to set a business. I hang out at the Palace, I hang out at Downing Street, I won Entrepreneur of the Year award. My book has been all over. I speak on the BBC, I speak on LBC. If I can do it, anyone can do it. The follow-up in the numbers, I'm going to leave that slide up for a little, but the point, again, coming back to the questions at the beginning, most sales are made between the 5th and the 12th touch point. That's not hounding people, that's a wee bit of a text, a meeting, an email, a phone conversation, but it takes 12 touch points to make a sale. So don't give up too soon. But Kenny Rogers, know when to hold in, know when to fold in, know when to walk away, know when to run. Right, I'm finishing in confidence, and then I'm opening up to questions. So the last pillar is confidence. So mindset, who's the mindset coach? That's Tracy as well, isn't it? So, you know, I'm a firm believer in a growth mindset. If you haven't got one and you run your own business, you are really going to struggle, especially at the moment. It's all about positivity. It's really all about, you know, going for it, making a mistake, tweaking it. You know, you look at Usain Bolt, how often did he practice to get good? Every single day. And then my last slide, again, when I do this live, I go, who's that? Some people go, that's Bridget Bardot. No, it's not. Who is it? That's Kate Moss. Yes, it is Kate Moss. And one of the things about sales is, I talked about it at the very start, to be good at sales, you have to believe that you are good at sales. For me, every single day, and I mean every day, I look in the mirror and I see the supermodel of sales. And because I see the supermodel of sales, what do you guys see? The supermodel of sales. I've been Alison Edgar. Let's open it up to questions. Thanks for your time.
Alison, that was just fabulous. Thank you so much. Do you want to unshare your
yes, please,
slides, and then I'll be able to see everybody hopefully waving their hands. Brilliant.
Have I unshared? Is it gone?
Excellent. So, ladies, here's the best opportunity you're going to get for a very long time. The Entrepreneur's Godmother is here waiting to answer your questions. Sasvi, do you want to ask yours that you've just put in the chat?
I'm terrible at going, look forward to hearing from you as well. So rather than look forward to hearing from you, this kind of non-open-ended question, what would you suggest saying to finish?
So an email is marketing, right? And we know that to get the ball in the hole, sales has to take over. So what I would be doing is selling a phone call or a Zoom. So rather than, what are your thoughts on that? Just say, I think the next step of this would be to have a phone conversation to discuss it. When are you available? Move it in, because you're relying on marketing to get the holy grail, the ball in the hole. You're going to have to do that yourself. And again, when you pick it up, so what I wanted to do is just find out where you are. This is a great one, girls. Literally, I'm looking right down the camera. Where are you in your thought process? And then just shut up. First one to speak loses, because if you're asking them, then again, it comes back to the behaviours. The greens are going to take a wee bit longer to answer because they're thinking. The reds will be like, wow, I'd go ahead with it if you give it for the right deal. And the yellows are like, oh, process, I forgot you were even going to be talking to me today. Isn't that right, JJ? So yeah, I would move it off, take it off marketing, get it back into sales, because then you're in control.
And if you're dealing with a red, they absolutely expect you to close it. You'd lose any kind of confidence if you didn't.
All the time. And I think it's really interesting, because that's where, again, I think, Jennifer kind of learned this the hard way, didn't you, at the start of the journey? Because we did a lot of stuff with the, well, I'll send you an email and you can have a wee think about this and blah, blah, blah. Whereas the reds are like, close me. And the other thing they're doing as well is a lot of people, especially senior positions, have been purchasing trained or sales trained. So again, you're not adapting to what they want. I'll give you an example. I think the examples help. One of my clients was the youngest contestant to win funding on Dragon's Den. So they were one of Deborah Meaden's investments, and he's red. He's lovely, young entrepreneur in his early 20s. And one of my friends, who I did go to Portugal with on this thing, she's a green, and she lives in Essex and she does PR. So she would toodle across from Essex to Wiltshire to see my client. And she was just so slow. Everything took bloody ages. And Jordan was like, oh, come on, cut to the chase. And she went away and she did a proposal, and then she came back. And it was really interesting because she got the sale really through me kind of pushing the sale through for her. But then she didn't deliver on time. So it's pace. The Reds need things done at their pace. But you need to control the dance, because they'll try and railroad you. They'll try and put you under pressure. You need to pull back. And the way you pull back is open questions. Hopefully that answers. Jill, is there another one in the chat?
Well, Emma's asking about how you work out their colour and certain job types in industries. I think we'll have to get Joe to do a session on that. Joe, what do you reckon?
I've just put it in the chat to you.
Yeah, I think it's really.
You're using insights, Alison, aren't you? I use everything disc, so I'm not a red. I'm a green D. In mine.
Right, okay. The reason I use disc is because it's based on the. Oh God, I've forgotten his name. The other old codger that wrote a book years ago, Johann Wolfgang van Goethe, and it's the association for the colour. So red's the hot colour, yellow's the sunshine, and all that kind of stuff. It is in the book. I mean, if anybody is, I'm not crossing over your path, Joe, but
no, that's fine.
All that stuff is actually in the book. Also, as Jennifer, I do LinkedIn in colour, so I can tell before I reach out to somebody on LinkedIn what colours they are, so I know how to message it. So my messaging is specific to, if it's a red, it's sharp and sweet. If it's a blue, it's factual. If it's a green, it's hi, how are you? If it's a yellow, it's hello, I love your picture. So I can tell from somebody's LinkedIn picture what colour they are, so I know how to message it. So I think that's another thing that.
But I think at the end of the day, whichever system you use, whether I remember doing one about teddy bears and foxes, as long as you stick to the same system and you're trying to work out what they are,
it's interesting, Jill. I mean, when I was doing the research on which tool to use, I did a lot of research on it, and the reason I went for it's not Insights. It's N-Size. It's a Swedish model.
Okay.
salespeople tend not to be academic, and don't forget, it's salespeople that I'm training predominantly.
Yeah.
And if you use bears and polar bears and teddy bears, the split second for them to discover which behaviour type it is takes longer. Whereas actually you can adapt quicker when you go red, green, blue, yellow, red, green, blue, yellow. And that's why I chose the colours over the other tools, because it's quicker for adaptation.
Cool. Come on, ladies, we've got 1 minute. Anybody else got a question from this amazing woman while we've got her captured here?
No.
All awestruck, aren't
Can I
we?
just ask one, because I've started to do loads of webinars, Alison, and I just want to know how to coax people onto discovery calls at the end. And I wondered, should I kind of limit the number and say I've got 10 slots this week or I've 20 slots this month? I just wondered what's a good way to get them onto a discovery call.
So that's the fear close, right? And I'm a believer in the fear close if it's genuine, but if you've got 150 and you're bullshit and you've only got 10, it's like the methods that the get rich quickers use, and I hate all that shit. So I would say, again, give really good values to the webinar. Like now, I don't really do the Discovery Channel. Well, I do. They're one of my clients, but I don't do discovery calls. But if I was to say at the end of this, who would want a 15-minute discovery call, I would say pretty much everybody in here would go, yes, please. So I think if you've given the value in the webinar in the first place, it would just be, can you use your chat? Again, when I'm doing my own webinars, we're in the chat a lot. We're like, who would want that? Great. And then you save your chat, and then you would say, right, okay, Eva wanted one, Emma wanted one. And then you would go back to them and say, right, when do you want it? It's assumptive close. Revisit the closing section of the book, but that's where, and then what you would do, a bit like you've got your model with the online thing, but you're going to go and find out, from that question that you asked, how likely are you to proceed with this or invest in this? You're going to put that list into snog, marry, avoid. Jennifer, you know my stuff. So, and that's where I would move it across from there.
Cool, thank you.
Alison, I'm interested particularly because I think, I deal with women all the time, and we've got a level of loyalty around a community. And I've got a habit of doing this where people just want to be nice. So if you're asking certain questions, would you like a call? Yeah, I'll do a call. I don't really want it, but I'm just trying to be loyal. So it's a bit more specific.
I think that's a really good thing, especially in women. Again, it comes back to the questions. Yeah, would you like a call? Okay, so what would you think would be a really good outcome from that call, or what do you think the purpose of the call would be?
Okay.
And I think it gives you an idea. I'd like to know a little bit more about what you do. Okay, and you just for my clarity, in what relation would you want that for? Is it for us to work together? What would the purpose be? Again, I'm being quite red because I know we're kind of out of time now, but do you know what I mean? You can deliver that in because you can just spend a lot of time. And again, I know I'm going over, but I think these are really valid points. I was speaking at a webinar for an event last week, and I was listening to a speaker, and I completely disagreed with absolutely every word that was coming out of her mouth. It was horrific. And she comes from an MLM background. And again, when we come to for those that you don't do, it's multi-level marketing, which again is brilliant. I think it's great because it gives people an opportunity to have a business that wouldn't normally. But she was saying, it's not about the person in front of you, it's the 10 people behind, and a lot of the MLM, they'll go, get out your mobile phone, right? You get 10 people that are going to be your first people. In a B2B scenario, it doesn't work the same, it's different. And that's where I think it's okay to, to ask questions, but purpose, what's the purpose? So, is it to just give details out, give information? That's brilliant if that's the purpose. But if it's getting business, you need to be more specific in your funneling questions. Qualification, really, it's qualifying it.
Brilliant. Cool. Ladies, if anybody does have to go, feel free. We don't think you're rude. We just say it's an hour, but I'm not going to leave this lady sat here prepared to answer questions. If anybody,
I'm not in any. All my rush is to get my running top back on, JJ, so I can get out there and get my boot camp going.
So, Alison, where can everybody buy your book? Because it's fabulous. I've got my own personal signed copy. Jennifer's got her copy. Looks like Jo's got hers. She's going, yes, that's
Look
it.
at you, girls, all with the book.
Are
I
we
would
getting
get
them on the website or on Amazon?
Yeah,
or where?
I would get it on Amazon. It's £9.62 at the moment. They've got it on special, so I can't sign it, but I'll sit out. Yeah, I'm sure I'll be back down at one of the events.
I'm sure you will. When we eventually
I'll
have our
sign it
award
then.
ceremony. Fabulous.
But if especially if you get Amazon Prime, I would spend £9.62 and get it from there. I have got a bit of an ask because, as I mentioned at the start, I'm kind of rebranding. So there's a big announcement coming out in September or October. So I'm trying to grow my YouTube following. So if everybody could follow me on the YouTube and get your friends to do the same, it would be amazing. And literally, apart from following, I will be doing weekly videos. And for those of you who know or maybe don't know, I've lost 3 stone in weight. I've gone from couch to half marathon in 10 months. It's been a big old journey. Thank you so much. Literally, I mean, I wouldn't even walk. I just believe that, those things are just for getting in and out the car. So it's been a huge journey. And you know what? I am me. I am like this every day. Ask my pals from school, ask my pals from Cape Town, ask my pals from Australia. I literally, this is me, whether, work, not work, this is me. And people find me motivational. I don't find myself motivational. I just be me and I bring my A game every single day. And if it motivates somebody, then, that's not for monetary value. That's just because I've maybe made somebody's day a wee bit better than it was before. And I run 3 banks. And again, I think this is kind of a good tip as well. So I run 3 banks. I run the Bank of Cash, the Bank of Give Back, and the Bank of Faffing Around. And I have to balance my banks in order to have a happy life, really, for me. So I can't do things for free. So when people were doing things for free, I needed money to come in and pay my team. So I have to charge. And then I do a lot of, again, I'll give, like, a lady lost her job. She's a friend of mine on Facebook. I've only met her once. And I met her 5 years ago and she was going through a tough time. So I had a wee call with her yesterday just to give her some hints and tips. That feeds my give back, my good girl give back. I don't know, there's probably a word for that. I don't know, it's my give back. And then the other thing is, like this, I quite like talking about myself. So this feeds my bank of giving back, and faffing around. And so I think, again, for me, I run the 3 banks. I think it's always important to compartmentalize your time and your life, because I think if you can compartmentalize your life and it doesn't all blur into one, you know where you're at and how your outcomes come. So
Brilliant.
Oh, Anne says I'm a force of nature. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I'll take
you're
that.
amazing, Alison.
I'm not humble. I'm like, thank you, Anne. Yes, thank you.
I'm proud to have you as my sis.
I know. I can't believe that we've our paths never crossed before, and now I've got a sister. Love it.
Yeah, how can you be separated at birth like that and not know? Alison, thank you so very, very much. I will put in the follow-up email the links to the YouTube channel, the link on Amazon for your book, and we'll look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
I know, I can't wait. And I've got a Facebook group called the Entrepreneurs Can Clan.
Yeah, I'm in that. I'll put that link in too.
Jump in there as well. Perfect.